Margaret Brennan stepped in it this weekend. If you subscribe to my show notes, you got the clip in your inbox yesterday. Margaret Brennan is the host of Face the Nation on CBS, and she had an interesting exchange with Marco Rubio.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
Margaret Brennan is an elite American journalist, and she had the audacity on television yesterday to claim that free speech caused the Holocaust. Free speech caused the Holocaust. And a lot of Margaret Brennan's supporters and defenders are walking it back and say, wait. The Weimar Republic had free speech. Hitler didn't. Hitler ended the Weimar Republic and immediately imposed speech controls. But if you go back to the Weimar Republic, there's something called the Weimar fallacy that a lot of the elite in this country have never paid attention to. So the Weimar Republic existed before Hitler. And the Weimar Republic, in its constitution, guaranteed freedom of the press and freedom of speech. And do you know what the Weimar Republic did? Is it justified its speech controls in such a way that despite having free speech and free press in its constitution, it really didn't exist. The Weimar Republic closed over 90 newspapers. It jailed members of the Nazi leadership. It prohibited Adolf Hitler from giving speeches for multiple years in public. Likewise, the Weimar Republic had specific hate speech laws that the elite media in this country want today. In fact, the Weimar Republic had specific laws prohibiting hate speech directed towards Jews. The Weimar fallacy is the elite in this country and Europe who claim that had there been greater speech controls in Germany, the Nazis would have never risen. Actually, the problem in the Weimar Republic is that they had massive speech controls despite giving lip service to freedom of speech and freedom of press, and it didn't do any good. In fact, it made it more intriguing for people to pay attention to the Nazis as they were rounding them up. And this is one of the great legacies of speech around the world, and it almost, there's a parallel to Christianity. Follow along with me here. This isn't theology, this is basic history. The more the Romans tried to stamp out Christianity in the Roman Empire, the more it grew. The more you pruned it, you made it stronger, like a plant. It's reflective in nature itself. When you prune plants by cutting off pieces of the plants, you make the plant stronger. By persecuting the Christians and executing them as best they could, the Romans actually made the faith stronger. In the same way with speech, the more you silence people, the more it's intriguing, the more it seems a little naughty. It's the young man who wants to look at porn because his parents have said, don't look at it. It's the person who wants to read Mein Kampf because they say it's bad for you to read. There is in a lot of people, not everybody, but in a lot of people, there is this, whether you want to call it evolutionary trait or what, when people tell you not to do something, you want to do it. When people tell you not to listen to the guy, you want to listen to the guy. When they tell you not to go to the music concert, you want to go to the music concert. When they tell you not to look at the subject online, you immediately go look at the subject online. So when they start stamping out dissent, when they start stamping out bad views, it makes those views more powerful in people's minds, because what view is a view that must be silenced? We should go see it for ourselves. And it infects people's brains, and that's what happened in the Weimar Republic. as they insisted the Nazis were illegitimate. They shut it down. But by the way, I've got to also say, if you're blaming speech issues on the rise of the Nazis, you're actually ignorant of the Weimar Republic history on how they never really rounded them up and never really did much of anything. They kept letting them out of jail. They could have executed Hitler. They chose not to. They could have thrown him in jail for a long time. They chose not to. To tie this all to speech is part of the postmodern left's idea on power. And if you learn one thing from me in the entire history of the time I'm on the radio for the next 30 years, just learn this. In postmodern times, power is more relevant than reality because power shapes reality. In modernism, reality matters. In postmodernism, power matters, and the whole world is about power. And with the left, speech is about power. And so what the left has done is they've decided that good speech is good and free speech is bad. And what is good speech? Anything that advances the left's power. Think about the elite in this country who silenced people who said that the lab leak theory was racism, including Tom Cotton, the senator from Arkansas. Think about how they treated people who questioned school closures and business closures at the time, and they've tried to revise it all. When you allow the left to be in charge of speech, when you allow the elite to be in charge of speech, they advance the views that advance themselves, and they don't like it when other views are advanced. The antidote to bad speech is more speech countering the bad speech, and the antidote from the left is to silence the bad speech, which only gives the bad power. When you silence dissent, you make the dissent more powerful. The left lionizes Nelson Mandela. What did the apartheid regime do? They threw him in prison and they tried to silence him, and it amplified him. It made him powerful. The early Christian church, the Romans tried to stamp it out. It made the early Christian church more powerful. The antidote to bad speech is more speech that counters it, not suppressing it. But the left and the elite don't think like that because they're not used to losing control of their monopolies. Margaret Brennan is an elite American journalist who had the audacity to claim that the Holocaust was caused by speech. You know, when Hitler came to power, if Margaret Brennan bothered to spend some time in the Holocaust Encyclopedia, she would find one of the first things Hitler did was get rid of all free speech rights in the German Republic. And in fact, any speech that went against the Nazi regime was silenced, and anyone who dared even criticize Hitler himself was killed. It's wild how they don't want to pay attention to what happens when people limit speech. Every authoritarian regime on planet Earth limits speech, which gets me to Germany. Here's the preview. And I don't think it's a coincidence that 60 Minutes ran a story about German speech rules on the same day that Margaret Brennan, also on 60 Minutes, is suggesting that free speech is a bad thing. It's kind of a wild dichotomy that on CBS News, which takes advantage of the First Amendment constitutional right of a free press, uses it to try to claim that free speech is bad.
While America is relaxing policies around social media and the internet, Germany is cracking down. We were with the German police as they conducted early morning raids on citizens who'd been accused of hate speech, threats, and inciting violence online. In the United States, a lot of people look at this and say this is restricting free speech. It's a threat to democracy.
Free speech needs boundaries.
Free speech needs boundaries. And who gets to set the boundaries? It's very, very Third Reich in Germany. They're kicking in people's doors for posting memes online. Listen to this. This woman who's quoted is the CEO of a nonprofit called Hate Aid, and USAID helped fund them.
The criticism that, this feels like the surveillance that Germany conducted 80 years ago. How do you respond to that?
There is no surveillance.
Josephine Ballon is a CEO of Hate Aid, a Berlin-based human rights organization that supports victims of online violence. In the United States, a lot of people look at this and say this is restricting free speech. It's a threat to democracy.
Free speech needs boundaries. And in the case of Germany, these boundaries are part of our constitution. without boundaries, a very small group of people can rely on endless freedom to say anything that they want, while everyone else is scared and intimidated.
And your fear is that if people are freely attacked online, that they'll withdraw from the discussion.
This is not only a fear, it's already taking place. Already half of the internet users in Germany are afraid to express their political opinion, and they rarely participate in public debates online anymore.
Wait. Just do you see how this goes? So they've just said that if you say something wrong in Germany, you're going to get arrested. And then she says half of Germans are scared to say anything online. Why? Listen to this section of this story.
Is it a crime to insult somebody in public?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And it's a crime to insult them online as well?
Yes.
The fine could be even higher if you insult someone in the internet.
Why?
Because in internet, it stays there. If we are talking here face to face, you insult me, I insult you, okay, finish. But if you're in the internet, if I insult you or a politician,
That sticks around forever.
yeah.
The prosecutors explain German law also prohibits the spread of malicious gossip, violent threats, and fake quotes.
If somebody posts something that's not true, and then somebody else reposts it or likes it, are they committing a crime?
Yeah, in the case of reposting, it is a crime as well, because the reader can't distinguish whether you just invented this or just reposted it. That's the same for us.
The punishment for breaking hate speech laws can include jail time for repeat offenders.
Okay, now do you follow the logic here? This is so wild to me. If you retweet someone online and what they said is wrong and you retweet it, you too are fined or go to jail. And so the woman at hate speech who says free speech needs boundaries says in her proof that Germans are intimidated by what's happening online. Well, half of Germans don't want to participate. Well, of course not, because if they retweet something that's wrong, they're going to go to jail. And they think this is a good thing, and CBS News thinks this is a good thing, and the Democrats think this is a good thing. They do not like freedom. They are the authoritarians they've warned us about, and they're justifying Germany's rules, and they're justifying cracking down on speech. Why? Because the Vice President of the United States of America had the audacity to go to Germany and tell them free speech is good. And because the American vice president says it's good, the American press corps, which relies on the free speech and free press clauses of the First Amendment, must insist it's bad.